Welcome back. Great that you're back in time. And now we are coming to the second part of our press conference based on what was said by Reese Powell and Helen Giesa on Fresenius Medical Care. Let's now talk about the development in the other business segments of Fresenius and the other growth opportunities. And Mr. Sturm also said that will be an update on the test checking of the group structure and the growth strategy, and I'm sure you're going to tell us something about it later on. Mr. Sturm and Rachel Empey will be available for your questions. Please, Mr. Sturm. Thank you very much, Mr. Link, and good morning to all of you. Warm welcome also from my side to all of you to our press conference. I am happy about your interest in our company. The same procedure as last year. Unfortunately, I have to say again, due to the pandemic, we can only meet digitally. I think this is a pity. It's pretty lonely up here without you. And also this reminds a little bit of Dinner for One. Let me now, for a start, briefly talk about the most important points I'm going to communicate to you. Our goals for the year 2021 have been achieved, and we are also expecting further profitable growth for 2022, despite the continuing impact of the pandemic and despite much higher costs. And as regards our cost and efficiency program, we are advancing faster, and already now we have much higher savings as originally thought, and we are also confirming and precising our medium-term growth targets, and we are proposing our 29th consecutive dividend increase, and for the first time, in addition to the cash, also a scrip dividend should be proposed. We also have set a climate target until 2040 at the latest. We want to be climate neutral. And what I'm going to do, as I said before, you will have an update on our strategic plans, including our consideration with regard to the group structure. First of all, I must say that the corona pandemic is still having an impact on all of us, for you, for us, for also this press conference, and also in particular for Fresenius, because we are a healthcare provider, and our task is to protect the best way possible the health of our patients, and they have so much challenges for us in this pandemic, which we have never met before, but we have made our contributions, and we have lived up to our responsibility also in the past year. And in 2021, over 42,000 corona patients were treated in our hospitals. All in all, more than 1 million people were vaccinated against the virus, and we have done all we could when it comes to important pharmaceuticals and devices to be able to deliver, even though the demand increased a lot. And the after treatment of corona infected at Fresenius Vamed, we have a specific post-COVID rehabilitation approach. Despite the pandemic is still a strong load for us and our business. An important, very sad aspect is the excess mortality of our dialysis patients. And this aspect has already been explained by Reese Powell, but also in our hospitals in the past year, there were much less treatments than before corona. This applies to Fresenius Helios and also to the rehabilitation centers of Vamed. At the same time, we had higher expenses for additional hygienic measures. And furthermore, this means less treatment and surgery. This means less demand for specific Fresenius Kabi products. And eventually the project business of Vamed suffered also from travel restrictions and in general from a greater reservation of the clients. Despite all of this, also in 2021, we have achieved a lot and have set decisive paths, and a very important milestone apart from the 25th year anniversary. It was the transformation program FE25 of Fresenius Medical Care. The details have already been explained by Helen and Reese. But also, as we got Fresenius Kabi, we have a new strategy for the coming years, Vision 2026. This is the guideline in order to prepare Fresenius Kabi for the next decades and transform it. It will focus on 3 growth paths: the expansion of the biopharmaceutical offerings, the further introduction of clinical food products, and also the expansion with regard to medical devices. And the basis is our volume-driven IV business, which means infusions and fluid drugs. And what we want to do here is to further expand our resilience. And I think we have a good term for this, 3+1. Another milestone, which is the order backlog of Fresenius Vamed. We are at a record high despite the pandemic. And at Fresenius Helios, further attractive acquisitions were carried out in Germany. Here, the DRK clinic in Northern Hesse in Kassel was taken over with 2 sites, and not far away from that in Marburg in Northern Westphalia. There is already a Helios clinic. From these 3 sites, we are combining them into a regional medical network, and over the next years, it will be further expanded, all according to our cluster strategy. And furthermore, a cancer center and an ophthalmic clinic was taken over in Colombia. And even though if it was only in January, not anymore in 2021, I would like to mention it, that we also had the majority of another reproduction center in the USA. So we are starting our new business in the Eugene Group. Despite all of these successes, I would like to point out again, 2021, as mentioned, was anything else than an easy year for our company, but also mainly, in particularly for our workforce: protective equipment, corona tests, quarantine, filling in for colleagues, special shifts, home office at the same time homeschooling, endless video conferences, anxieties. That was quite a lot. But our employees, they were there, they kept up, and they still are there for our patients, for our customers, and for Fresenius. And without our employees, we wouldn't have been able to be that successful. I can just only one thing: thank you. The figures and the number of our workforce also increased further in 2021. Yes, measures have been taken in order to reduce costs and to increase our efficiency. This doesn't speak for increase in headcount. And for FMC, you heard we plan to cut 5,000 jobs. But this has been and is a very painful decision. But at the same time, it is necessary. But what's all about is to accelerate growth in other segments, so that even the more we will be available for our patients, and also to be available for even more patients. Let's now talk about the business figures for 2021. All of you know the press releases, which contains the most important figures in here on the slide, and show in a nutshell at the circumstances we had. The past year was an orderly year for us. Well, our sales could be increased by 5% currency adjusted. For the EBIT, we had a decrease of 6% in constant currencies. The reason were mainly the negative COVID effects in FMC. And for that, we were able to increase in earnings and in sales and also in constant currency. Particularly the fourth quarter was again a strong quarter. We have been very successful here, and so I'm happy to say that we all have achieved our goals for 2021. And this, even though during the year 2 times we have increased the outlook and the guidance for the year 2021. You see, we're still working on also improving the trust of the capital market as being a reliable and growing player. And this brings us to our dividend proposition for 2021, because we would like to have our shareholders share also our success, and we would like to increase it to by 5%, and it would be our 29th consecutive dividend increase. And there is a new thing this year, because for the first time we are increasing also a scrip dividend, which means our shareholders, they should have the choice. They either can get their dividend in cash or they will get a scrip dividend. This is a very easy and simple way of directly investing the dividend in our company. The Else Kröner Fresenius Foundation already told us that they intend to completely go for the scrip dividend. This is a strong signal of support, I think, and I am very happy and very pleased at this. Another premiere first would be that for the first time we are defining a climate target for the Fresenius Group. This is in line with the climate target of FMC, which was presented by Rees, and also for the FME Group, our direct and indirect emissions should be reduced by 2030 by 50%. And here we are assuming about 1.5 million tons emitted greenhouse gases in 2020, and at the latest in 2040. We want to be climate neutral. And we are here oriented towards the scientific provisions of the Paris Climate Agreement, which means that the Earth warming should be at 1.5 degrees Celsius. And how should we achieve this very ambitious goal? Well, the key to this, at least for the first few years, is, as with Fresenius Medical Care, is the transformation of our worldwide power consumption for renewable energy. And furthermore, we would like to work on making our clinics and hospitals even more and more energy efficient. Each investment also will be specified with regard to the green aspect. And if this can be done ecologically and economically, more and more capacities will be also built up on our own plants and sites. Now let's also continue with our outlook. Our outlook for 2022 for our intermediate goals. As I said before, COVID still has an impact on us, and we have to assume that the pandemic will also be felt by our business in 2022 in a considerable way. And how strong this depends on the progress with regard to our relevant markets, and particularly if there are also more dangerous virus variants in the future. We have tried to include this in our forecast for 2022, but however, there are still some uncertainties remaining. Well, as of now, we expect that sales growth by constant currency, there will be a mid-single-digit percentage, and with regard to the group outlook, it will be constant currency in a low single-digit percentage area. We are also confirming our medium-term goals, and would like to remind you of that. Before the pandemic, an organic average annual growth of the revenue in 2020 to 2023 between 4 and 7%. And with regard to the net income for the group, it's between 5 and 9%. At the same time, we are precising our expectations with regard to sales. We think about the bottom to the middle of the range, and with the earnings, it will be about the bottom of the range. And in order to be able to be successful, in particular the growth result will have to be accelerated by 2022. But we are optimistic that we'll be able to do so. And as regards our strategy for growth, which we defined last year, this will help us a lot. You may remember about 1 year ago, we showed you the path to an even more powerful health service provider. And in the first part of our journey, we have achieved a lot. Fresenius has been optimized. The path had been set for accelerated profitable growth in the next few years. Among others, we started with the implementation of our announced cost reduction and efficiency program. We are advancing very well, even faster than thought before, which means we are saving more money than expected. And so our sustainability cost-saving goal could be increased to more than 150 million euros after tax and minority shares in the year of 2030. And after that, we even want higher cost savings, which are sustainable too. All of you know that also our group structure was looked into. 1 year ago, I said that we are thinking about it without any taboos, open-minded, and we have taken this 1 year time for good reasons. We looked at everything diligently. Where are the best growth chances? How should we use them and how to finance them? And I also said that we would know more today. And maybe you have already read the passage in our press release of today. And now I would like to give you more details on that. First of all, our current group structure has proven its worth, even though and because we are in difficult times now. The growth of the past decades has been made possible by it, and up to now it offers many benefits: stability, by diversification, also by size, scaling effects, and synergies from the cooperation of our business segments, also tax benefits, and also what's very important, attractive financing possibilities, in particular with outside capital. Some equity investors may be critical of our diversified structure, but another very important stakeholder group, our outside lenders, they evaluate it and value it very much. And outside costs are very important and very advantageous for our shareholders, also for other stakeholders. Our size, our stability are an important factor for our partners in the healthcare sector, our employees, and also, of course, also for our patients, which are entrusting us with their lives and their health. And we will not do without these benefits in the future, just in order to streamline the complexity of our group for the capital market. Our group structure does not break the capital structure in the market. Maybe for one or the other big group with a centralized structure, this may be different. Fresenius, on the other hand, is very decentralized and with very independent business segments. And our diversified structure also made our fast growth possible. And without this structure, we wouldn't be there where we are now. Another result of our analysis was that in all 4 business segments, we are seeing still unchanged excellent growth chances. All business segments have strong market positions. Either we are the leaders in the specific field, or, as for example, with dialysis, we are the number 1, clearly the number 1. And in all 4 business segments, we have very many promising growth fields which we have identified. If you see here on this slide, there is quite a lot of it here, I admit that, but it just shows the great variety of growth ideas and the great potential of all these 4 segments. This potential we would like to exploit, and we would like to promote growth and actively drive growth. But if we really want to use consistently these growth changes, we cannot do it only by organic growth. Organic growth has been, is and will be our basis. But in addition, what we want is, and what we should do is, to also take future strategic growth steps, also considerable investments in terms of digital transformation, and also larger acquisitions, as we have done in the past again and again, and we have been successful with that. I won't tell you a secret. Well, big investments cost a lot of money, big acquisitions as well. Small investments and medium-sized investments, they still can be paid from our own funds, but for really big ones, inorganic growth steps, we need new funding sources. Why? On the one hand, because of our leverage. Here at the moment, we are slightly above our own goal, our own corridor. You know, it's all about the ratio of net finance liabilities with regard to EBITDA. And what we could do, and also despite a record cash flow, not increase EBITDA as hoped for, and so our leverage could not be improved. And another significant leverage is excluded by us. But we have some leeway here, and we have favorable outside capital, which is still an important tool for us. And this way, if need be, also smaller and medium-sized growth steps can be funded. But at a large scale, this is not an issue now, because this way our leverage would be increased too much. And exactly this access to this favorable outside capital would be more difficult. And an equity increase, we have done it in the past, but you will see that also at the holding level, it is not an option for us. Just if you look at our share price today, our earnings ratio is too low, and all analyst reports say that at the stock exchange we are evaluated lower than the sum of our business segments and groups members. And so we need new capital sources and funding sources, and to also distribute the available funds in a prudent manner. And so this we have seen with our segments, which we've got now, the 4 business segment, and based on this, we have a strategy for optimal capital allocation within our group. What we want to do is to have a more dynamic growth and also use the benefits of a broader diversification of our structure and use it the best possible and combine it the best way. And I would like to present you this strategy right now. Top priority for capital allocation in the Fresenius Group will be Fresenius Kabi. Why? First of all, at Kabi, all in all, we see the best growth opportunities and the best earnings profile as compared to the 4 business units. The Vision 2026 of Kabi board also will play and contribute considerably to that. And on the secondly, unlike FMC and Vamed, we are the sole owner. And third, in the past 3 decades, mainly the services business has been expanded. And now, particularly, we would want to also strengthen the product business in order to get a more balanced ratio. And fourth, the pharma business of Fresenius Kabi is the core of our company, pharmaceuticals and infusions. That's where they are coming from. Fresenius Medical Care, as a listed company, is funding its growth anyway on its own. And with Powell already informed you about the FME program, FME 25 program, the target higher cost efficiency, improved profitability, and a better use of additional growth chances. And the colleagues here are on a very good path, and I am convinced that Fresenius Medical Care over the long term will be able to grow profitably over a long term. And additional value is created also for our share in the company. I said Helios and Vamed will also fund smaller acquisitions from their own funds, but for larger steps of the 2 segments, we are open to also finding and new lenders, but not based on Fresenius only, but at a level of these 2 business segments. The evaluation levels from the point of view of stronger and more specialized investors are much higher, and here an equity measure could also be lucrative and even more lucrative in order to take the next big growth step. And it's not so new for us. I would like to remind you that also in a similar way, also National Medical Care was taken over. Fresenius Medical Care wouldn't be a market leader without this courageous step. And at the time, it was an IPO. And now, in combination with a concrete growth step, it would be a handful or some more shareholders, as already now with Fresenius Vamed, which not everybody knows. Here, Austria and another strategic investor with have a share of a total of 23%. I said that in all 4 business segments, we have very good growth chances. And for us, it is also very attractive to also invest in all these 4 segments. But does this guarantee to us that we will stay this way forever? And at any rate, no. Well, making such a promise for all the 4 segments, this wouldn't be good. Well, and Fresenius Kabi has priority for the capital allocation. We are the sole owner, and we will stay sole owner. And also Fresenius Helios. Here, over the long term, we want to be the majority shareholder, but it doesn't have to be 100%. And similar with Fresenius Vamed, even though here under specific circumstances, also a minority shareholdership wouldn't be excluded for Fresenius Medical Care. However, we are already holding for a longer time only the minority of shares, even though FMC, due to the KGR, is being controlled by the PE ratio. And if somebody would offer us a very attractive price, well, attractive and promising for all parties involved, yes, then it would be our duty to check and look into this offering and to also find out about the alternatives for action. Do I announce an FMC sale? Do I want to spin off some parts of the group? Of course not. Fresenius remains a diversified healthcare company, a company which is active in many attractive areas of the medicine of healthcare. And this is based on clear strategic guide rails and on priorities. Here, I am just showing you what options there are, how Fresenius can be reorganized and also accelerated, as transparent as you can expect from us and as you are used to. And I would like to point out again that as regards the excellent growth perspectives of the 4 company business segments, we are convinced of that, and we will promote that as good as we can and also accelerate it. And we will be open for partners who also are in line with us, with our expectations. And what is clear of these options we are going to use if they are fit into our long-term strategy and are useful for that, and both for the growth of Fresenius as a whole and for each individual business segment. In other words, if we want to have a stronger growth for all sections, for all stakeholders, not on principle we don't have to adhere to existing structures and shareholdings. We have to be courageous here and have to create added value for all parties involved. That's what we want to do. You see, we are now in challenging times, and there are some challenges which we have to face. No question about that. We have a clear path. We have set strategic guide rails in order to become more profitable and grow more. Our goal is added value and be useful for all our stakeholders with that which for more than 110 years we can do best. High quality medicine at affordable prices, and according to the demand for more people throughout the world which need medical supplies, always better medicine for more people. On this path, we will also be courageous and consistent in our way ahead. And now I am looking forward to your questions. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Sturm,